No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it. You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey gardeners, hope you're all having a great week out in your garden. Check out all of these tomatoes. These are the Prax cherry tomato, and most of these are all volunteers here that grow out on my back patio. I'll let some of these big ones down here fall just to the ground and seed themselves for next year, and they'll grow out. Yeah, we're gonna have a great harvest this year. I'm gonna actually collect most of these here for seeds so that we can share those with all of you. I've got a link down below if you want to get some seeds. Oh, there's some of our peppers as well too. But yeah, thanks everybody for being here today. We've got a great show for you. We got some great guests. So all right, let's get growing.
All right, all my passionate plant people and gardening enthusiasts. Welcome to the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today. We've got a great show ahead for you today. Here in just a little bit, joining with us, we've got Philip Longo of Earth, Nails, and Tails joining us for our featured guest later on in the show. And here in just a few minutes for our Are You Following Me? We've got Marshall, Farmer Marshall, Urban Gardener with us. So we've got a great show, some great conversations coming up here ahead for all of you. And, right here at the top of the show, let's definitely click that like button, hit the thumbs up, and also hit the subscribe button too if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification so you can be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, and definitely share with all your friends. Let all your garden friends out there know that we've got a great show, great conversations every Saturday and Sunday here on the Urban Gardener channel at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. That'll be 7 p.m. for all of you over in the UK as well. Let's also give a big, huge shout out to all of those who are watching on our replay. Thank you all so much for joining here on the show. It's great to have you. Definitely drop down into our comment section. Let us know you're here. Let us know what you got growing on. Again, I love to hear about everybody's gardens, what you've had growing this year, what was most successful this year, what didn't work out. Let me know all about it in the comment section down below. Even if you just want to drop by and say hi. Again, I love to hear from all of you. And if you are here joining us live on the show and in the conversation there, definitely drop in some of your questions and comments. And if you do have any questions for our guests, put those in big, bold capital letters so that I can see your questions from the conversation. And I'll definitely try to mark those and make sure that we can get those asked of our guests while they're here with us today. So again, thank you everybody for being here. Follow all of those links down below to our guests. Go visit their channels, go check out one of their videos or posts or something like that. Drop into their comment section, show them a little bit of support right here from the Let's Get Growing show, and let them know that you saw them here on the Let's Get Growing show as well too. It's a great way to support our show and to support all of our guests who join with us here each and every weekend. And as you saw here on the very beginning there, I was showing you guys all my delicious Prax cherry tomatoes that we've got growing out on the back patio there. I've been growing a bunch of them out this year so that I could save up some seeds for all of you. So if you'd like to get some free seeds, definitely send me an email and I'll share with you some information on how you can get a hold of some of these free seeds so that you can grow these in your garden this next season. So just send me an email at theurbangardener@mail.com, not gmail.com, but just mail.com, theurbangardener@mail.com, and send me an email. Just put in the subject line there, cherry tomato seeds, and let me know there too, and I'll send you, like I said, I'll send you out some information on what to do so that you can get hold of some of these tomatoes for your garden next year. They're just delicious. They're amazing. These are just a really awesome big fat cherry tomatoes, and you'll definitely enjoy those in your garden. So definitely let me know if you'd like to get some of those free seeds for yourself. So right on, everybody. It's great to have you all here today. Like I said, we got some great guests coming up here a little bit later on in the show, and let's drop in here and see who we've got joining with us here on the show. Of course, we got to say hi to our good friend Jay Dixon, our facilitator in the chat there. So definitely thank you, Jay, for being here, and everybody else, keep an eye out for links and information that Jay will be sharing throughout the show as we're talking and conversating. If different things come up, she'll drop in some extra information for all of you to be able to check out again throughout the conversation. And also too, if you have any small channels and you haven't had a shout out here in our chat on the show, definitely let us know about your channels, and Jay will get a link there too, so that we can all go and check out what you have growing on. So right on. Again, thanks, Jay, for being here. I see we got Dusty Flats in the conversation. Dusty, great to see you here. MKP joining in nice and early, I saw there too. Excellent. So great to have you here. I see Farmer Marshall already in the conversation saying hello to everybody. All right, we'll get a good chat with him here in just a minute. Right on. Bowtie Life. David, great to see you. Great to have you here. So we got B. Hendricks. Life is beautiful. Absolutely. And let's see here. Also, we got our good friend Adam Burley, our other facilitator, moderator, joining us from just up the road in Central Point, Oregon. Right on. Great to have you here, Adam. Thanks for joining with us here today. Let's see here. Right on. Looks like, yeah, okay. We caught up here. So right on, everybody. Again, too, hope everything's been growing well for you guys in your gardens. Everything's, like I said, as you can see outside, it's been raining the last couple of days. So the garden's actually been really loving it, too. We're kind of at that middle ground in temperature and everything, where it's just kind of like, it's just really fall is what it really is right now. And the garden's really doing well. There's some things, too, that are just kind of waning down. And as I mentioned last week as well, we've been pulling some stuff that we want to get moving on, getting those spaces ready for other things that we want to plant and grow, or kind of rearrange. I got some rearranging things I want to do with some of our alleyway garden. So again, there's been a lot of things that we've been having to take out and replace. All of our fall vegetables, that Adam and I went to go get just a few weeks back and everything. They're all just growing great out there, doing really well. I've got some other lettuces and spinach and things like that are popping up and getting started to grow as well too. So we'll have plenty of really great things growing through our fall and into our winter garden. So really looking forward to that. I can't wait. That's one of the best things about our fall garden all the way through into spring and all of that as well, is all of the greens and all the delicious cool weather greens that we get to get out of our garden. So I'm really looking forward to those. See, we got Jersey Girl here. Great to have you. Thanks for joining with us here today. And I see also Bohemian Herbology in the chat as well. Hello, garden friends, indoors and able to join the chat today. Excellent. And hope you all had a fun season too. Yes, definitely a fun season. As I mentioned before too, it's really turned out to be a lot better than what I was anticipating at the beginning of the year. Some things didn't work out quite as well as I wanted to. In fact, I'll have a video coming up here real soon too, kind of explaining some of that as well. But really, I didn't put too much expectation into what I was going to be doing in my garden. I grew a lot of our more essential things that I grow, and hopefully I'm freezing up a little bit, but more of our essential things that we grow, I did and put out into the garden. But there was a lot of things I didn't grow that I usually grow throughout each of our seasons. And but ultimately, the things that we did get growing, and a lot of our volunteers as well in the garden, really turned out really well. So again, just really surprised ultimately again. And that's one thing too. And I found this to be kind of the many seasons that I've been growing and gardening is that's kind of something that is usually the case. You know, whether it's the whole garden itself or even some individual plants. Like there's certain plants, like my squash out there I shared with you guys last week. I didn't have really much faith in that they were going to really produce much of anything. I mean, they got attacked really bad by squash bugs early in the season, and then the heat really came on, and it was really tough for those young plants to really get going. But then there was just this point where, you know, I turned around and I was like, okay, you're going to do whatever you're going to do. I'm just going to let you do your thing. And then ultimately they just at some point just really started to blow up and just grew all over the place. So we ended up with a lot of really great butternut squash was the only one I really planted this year, but it ended up producing a bunch of fruit. And I didn't really think that that was going to be the case with it at all. But surprise, there they are. So even sometimes we'll be really thinking like, I just don't think this plant's going to do anything. Our plants can really surprise us sometimes. So really, really excited about some of those aspects of our garden as well too. Because again, one of my favorite squash anyways, and also been able to share with some of my friends too, some of our extras, because it actually produced quite a bit more than I was thinking. Our pumpkins, not so much. The plants got going really good, which I, again, didn't expect it to do, but it stretched out, got crazy, and started growing all over the place. Did produce a couple of fruits. We do have one that's still trying to grow right now, but again, I don't think by the time we get to our first frost and freeze and everything that it's going to really mature completely the way it should. So, but still great to see what the plants were able to do anyways. And then again, one of the big things though too are the cherry tomatoes. That's one thing that was very plentiful throughout the garden. We got a bunch of different varieties of them out there, and they, you know, always, it doesn't matter how hot my summers are and all of that, those things produce like crazy all the time. So again too, if you want to get a hold of some of these cherry tomatoes for free seeds for yourself, definitely let me know. Let me know or send me an email. Again, I'll pop that up here for you one more time, and I'll also mention it too again later on in the show as we're finishing up. But yeah, send me an email at theurbangardener@mail.com, and I'll send you some information on how to get some of these free seeds for yourself to grow in your garden. So right on, everybody. Like I said, we got a really great show for you here today. We got some really great guests with us, and we'll just take a real quick sponsor break here, and then we'll be right back with our very first guest today.
Hi, my name is Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics, where we grow cool plants, and author, Saving the World with the Home Garden. Ivory Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard has 7 natural oils that protect your plants, not just from the summer heat as well as winter cold, but also protects your plants from damaging insects and rodents. The oils in the product include castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. These oils are natural insect and rodent repellent oils, which are encapsulated by the base powder, offering your plants months of protection at a time. One application per year will suffice for protection against damaging summer sunburn and winter sun scald, but if the target is pests, application as much as 2 to 3 times a year may be necessary.
All right. Thanks to Ivy Organic, and definitely get a hold of some of that 3-in-1 plant guard for yourself there too over at ivyorganic.com. And if you didn't get a chance to check out last week's shows, we had some really great guests and really fun shows for you last week. Last Saturday, we had with us our good friend Farmer Greg Peterson from the Urban Farm podcast on with us. It's always great to catch up with Greg and to hear about what he's got growing on in his garden as well. We got to meet Diva in the Dirt. Maureen joined us, and we got to learn all about her garden as well too. So definitely go back and check out last Saturday's show if you didn't get a chance to check out those conversations. And then for our Sunday edition of the show last week, we had back with us Rish Gala and Ashley Thomas, and we were asking, is your garden happy? and they definitely got some really, really happy gardens and some really cheerful, awesome, fun conversation with those two last Sunday. You'll definitely want to go back and check out those shows if you didn't get a chance to check them out as well too. So right on, everybody. Let's get moving on today. It's time for Are You Following Me?
Are you following me? Are you following me, dude?
All right, so joining us today for our Are You Following Me segment today, we've got joining with us Farmer Marshall. How you doing, Marshall?
Hey
How's
there.
it going
Hey,
today?
good to see you.
Good to see you too. Right on. It's great to have you here on the show with us. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for asking me. Hey, folks.
Absolutely. Great to have you here. And so let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you've got growing on over on your channel, Farmer Marshall Urban Gardener.
Okay, well, I have 3 different gardens set up. I have a main garden where I do some tomatoes, peppers, squash, zucchini, cucumbers, all the basics. I recently added a trellis, uh, cattle panels.
Okay.
4 of them connected. I made myself a nice 7-foot tall trellis, and all my tomatoes that were indeterminate are planted around there. And it's amazing how big these tomato plants have gotten. I didn't, they say they get so tall, but I've never seen them get, 7, 8 feet tall because I always used tomato cages, which I absolutely hate. But I've been gardening pretty much all my life. I started with my parents. I get out there and dig the holes up and find worms and help them plant stuff.
Oh, yeah. So you got a nice early start to all of your gardening experience then.
Yes, and I got used to the worms and the cow manure, which I always kind of frowned at. But, as a kid, that's what you do.
That's right.
But I've been, like I said, I've been gardening pretty much all my life. My current home and my previous home, I had gardens. My second garden, we have a small garden. It's just on the side of the house. So I just throw whatever I want to. I had too many tomatoes this year, so I added a bunch of those over there. Okra plants, pepper plants. And mostly what I grow, I try to grow from seed. So we were talking about this the other day. I had so many that I hate to throw stuff away. So I ended up planting way more than I should have. They were overcrowded on the side of the house, but I got great production out of those this year.
Yeah. I got a picture of you here with some of your seedlings there that you got started up.
Oh yeah, that was my the grow trays were one of my birthday presents from last month. I've always wanted the bootstrap farmer trays.
Yeah.
So that was on my list. I'm like, hey, if you guys give me this, I'll just be happy.
Pretty simple things to keep us gardeners happy, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Perfect presents.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So I've been growing from seed as best I can. I had some successes, some failures, and usually failures come from either not enough time on my hand, trying to do a little bit of everything, or trying to do too much.
Trying to do too much. That seems to be one of the things that we always, again, get ourselves into each year is, and even for myself, and I was kind of explaining, I didn't have like much of expectations, didn't really put too much out into my garden, but still ended up doing too much sometimes, even when we're trying not to.
Well, life gets in the way sometimes.
That's right. It sure can. Definitely. Let's see here. Okay. I see David's got a question for us already here. Let's see what kind of questions David's bringing for us today. Said, what's the most counterintuitive belief you hold about urban gardening? Something people will disagree with, and why do you believe it? Oh boy, I don't know.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's a pretty
Pick
big
what's
one
twice.
there. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure. Here's the thing with anything today is that it probably doesn't really matter what it is you do. You're going to find a group of people out there who just disagree with it or do something differently that they hold true to themselves, right?
Absolutely. I've seen, simple videos get questions about what I was doing, and it's
Yeah.
like, and so, people are going to disagree one way or another. I think I mentioned recently about how I generally take my tomatoes when they start to blush because their
Mm,
size, they, the plant literally stops giving it nutrients as far as what's going to make it sweeter. The plant
yeah.
literally cuts it off. So it will still give it water so it doesn't dry out, but it's not going to get any bigger. And for me, I find that if I pick them at blushing, that I'm able to get more tomatoes because the bugs aren't getting to them, the birds aren't getting to them. It's so for me it's a win-win. And some people think that picking a tomato at blushing is the worst thing to do. But you get so much
Yeah.
flavor and you get more tomatoes. Who wants to go out and wait for a tomato to get to a perfect ripeness and you find that a bird has gotten to it before you did?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you let them grow a little bit, and get fully ripe and everything, and then they're really susceptible to everything out there. So again, to kind of a
Everything
good,
wants it.
and I hear a lot of people do that. They get out there and for me, I'm grabbing a lot of my later season tomatoes a little bit earlier, like you said, right as they're just starting to blush, that sort of thing as well too. But it is actually a pretty good tactic, I think. But again, there might be folks out there who just disagree, and they'd rather have them fully vine ripened, right?
Exactly. Now I do let my cherry tomatoes vine ripen, but that's because it's so many of them. I can't keep up. So they're going to ripen. I'm more concerned about the bigger tomatoes anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The bigger ones are ones. Again, I'm going to take whatever ones I can get. I want to get them at the best possible point in time because I'm limited really in the last few years about how many I'm getting. I don't know. I got to, again, still work on maybe some other varieties, maybe some other techniques and things that I need to do to really kind of get those going. A lot of it is our heat of the summer just really comes on really, really harshly during early in the season, which really kind of stunts back a lot of my plants and everything. So those bigger tomatoes, they don't really grow as well, and I don't get as many of them until actually later in the season. So like as things are starting to cool down over these last few weeks, my plants are producing like crazy. So in some senses, I'm kind of almost forced to kind of get them as soon as they're starting to blush before frost and all that hit, and get as many of them in as I possibly can, because they're those are pretty much the not really the only ones I'm getting, but probably the biggest harvest that I'm getting out of the season is during this time.
Well, I'm in Georgia 8A, so I'm not overly concerned about
Yeah.
the frost yet. My tomatoes got they get hurt real bad in July. It was so hot. I took shade cloth and covered most of my garden, but between the heat and the some beetles, it it
Hmm.
it hurt my plants a lot. But late last month, when it started cooling off some, my tomato plants started coming back, and I have probably about 50 tomatoes out there that
Yeah.
I was almost ready to take the plants up, but they made a good comeback.
Right on, right on. So in all though too, besides tomatoes and all of that, how was the growing season this year for you?
It was good. It wasn't perfect. My cantaloupes and watermelons horrible. Just I failed.
Mm,
I tried growing carrots again, which has been my nemesis. I did better,
mhm.
but still not quite right.
Yeah.
Had a ton of greenery on it, but I failed to give it enough bone meal. So I would develop up bigger carrots. So I did okay. And this morning I went out into one of my third garden where I have it's strawberries and beets and carrots. And I had started putting those items in raised beds, but
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to shut my gate in the garden. And so I got up this morning and went out to the garden, and one of my dogs had gotten in there. So
Oh
my
wow.
carrots aren't looking nearly as good as they should be.
Yeah, I see our good friend Tony from over at Simplify Garden. He's like, try my method for carrots. Yeah, he shared a video with me just a little while back ago, and he's growing these really just beautiful, just amazing looking carrots. I've definitely got to try his method myself for sure. I mean, I have a pretty cool deep elevated raised bed in the back that usually gives me pretty good carrot production, but I still got to try what he's got going on there with his carrot method.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at it. I
Definitely.
used an egg carton to kind of lay them out
Mm-hmm.
so I can get them spaced out properly. So aside from the ones that my dog destroyed,
Yeah.
can't figure out which dog did it though.
You
So
got it. It's not do you go out there and they both got guilty looking faces? Because you know
they're
how
gonna look
dogs are
guilty.
when they know they did something. So you got that look, but
Yes. Well, both of them will look guilty. If I fuss at one, both of them kind of put their head down. I'm like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
tell
yeah.
one to sit down, both will sit down. But it's
They're
funny
not
though.
they're kind of covering for each other then too, right?
Yes, yes, yes. They don't want to say he did it, but I know one of them did it.
Yeah.
But it's
That,
funny. They know not to go into my main garden. I
oh
can leave the
yeah.
gate open. They won't follow me around in there. But
They're like,
you know,
that one's trouble. Let's
I
not do
guess I
that.
have to get them used to it, not going into the other garden. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's okay.
Oh, real quick here. Sorry. Darth X here. He's mentioning I was only able to grow one kabocha squash the size of a baseball, and he says, which reminds me, go Mariners! I almost wore my jersey today, Darth X, because everybody knows I'm a big, huge Seattle Mariners baseball fan, and they had one of the most amazing games you'd ever seen in the playoffs last night, and got to advance to the next round of the playoffs. It was a really amazing game. So again, yes, thank you. Sorry, Marshall, but go Mariners for
Okay.
sure. Thank you. Right on, right on. So what I don't know. Okay, in fact, you know what I saw? Let's look here real quick. I'm bouncing around here. David asked another good question here. If someone handed you just one raised bed or microplot in the city, what would you grow and how would you design it for the highest payoff? So that's kind of like one of those, if what were some of the main things you would grow if you could only grow so many things? And again, if small raised bed.
Well, honestly, I would probably grow what everyone else is growing. Most
Yeah.
gardeners grow tomatoes.
Yeah. That's usually the
And
go-to.
once they start producing, mine are going to produce until probably late October. And if I get good beefsteak tomatoes, I can get a lot of production out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I do love having a fall garden, but a lot of your fall garden things like broccoli is you get one good hit size head of broccoli, cauliflower. You can get well, I use the cut and come again method of harvesting that, so I can get a lot of production out of that. But I
Mm-hmm.
can't think of a thing that's going to give me more production than tomato plant, unless it's a tree. Now I have persimmon trees, persimmon tree, apple tree, pear tree, plum tree. So my fruit trees give me easy production and good production.
Yeah.
So if I could put a tree in there, I just put a tree in there.
Yeah. Yeah, if you got the space or you can do that, definitely grow a tree. I know you shared another picture with us here too. There's some of those persimmons, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes. That was
Is that one?
yeah.
Is that one
That's
of
from the
your
shirt.
favorites? Is that one of your favorite fruits there?
Yes, yes. It's my wife doesn't like it, but I do.
Yeah.
um, it produces so well, and I think one year I got about 150 persimmons off of it. So I
Oh, nice.
dehydrate a bunch of them and eat them throughout the year. And of course, my dog gets a few.
And the dogs love them too, huh?
Well, one of them, I've seen him walk up right in front of me, grab a persimmon, walk 10 steps, lay down and eat it right in front of my face. I'm like, really?
Mm.
So,
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm, again too, and I hear that from a lot of folks who have dogs and garden and all of that, is that sharing the things in the garden. And it's one of those things I just would never have thought of, right? That dogs and fruits and vegetables and things like that. But there's so many things that they really like and really
yes.
enjoy. So it's kind of a fun thing to do, is share with them as well.
And I've recently started giving my quail some some food for my
Hmm.
garden. It can be just greens or leaves and whatever. I
Yeah,
gave them some oregano the other day, and they seem to love it. So I'm like, here you go, knock yourself out. Might be able
yeah,
to
yeah.
save a little money on quail food too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, let's talk a little bit about the quail here. I know you did share, again, here's a picture of some of those quail that you've got. And also, you had a picture of a little quail egg, too. Those things are little
Yes,
tiny things there.
they are, but it's always fun to go out there and find eggs.
Yeah.
I just started raising them this year, maybe April or May. So I ordered some
Hmm.
eggs and had honestly a pretty poor hatch rate, but I blame the incubator, so I've gotten rid of that one. But I have
Right.
about 25 quail out there now. Three of them are old enough that are laying eggs, and I have about 10 more females, maybe 13 more females that are close to egg laying age. So once they get 8 to 10 years, 8 to 10 weeks old, they start laying eggs. So
Hmm.
I get eggs, and the quail are for food. I'm not a vegetarian, so yes, I have eaten some. Um, Also, I get their poop, which is great fertilizer.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
composting that, and I'm trying to get away from buying fertilizer. Um, I've bought cow manure every year, and chicken manure. Chicken manure is fantastic, but quail
Hmm.
manure is actually supposed to be better,
Yeah.
more minerals in it. So I'm hoping to have enough, and they do leave a lot of waste. So I just take
Yeah.
that and toss it in my compost bin and let everything compost down.
Yeah, that's the real big bonus of having birds and actually different other animals as well too, is
And they're
to get
quiet.
their waste to compost and to add to your garden as well.
Yes, they're very quiet birds. The males do crow a little bit, but I don't even think my neighbors know I have quail. They're that
Oh,
they sound like a basic outside bird. So
right. So they're not they're pretty quiet then, huh?
yes, very.
Right on. Let's see here. Serena was asking, do you use cover crop blends? If so, which one do you use? I just say I don't really have the space. Mine are more container gardening and all of that, so I'm not really utilizing cover crops. But mulching for sure. Lots of mulching, composting, and those sort of things. But do you use any cover crops through your garden?
I don't honestly. I garden year round, so I
Yeah,
try to keep as much nutrients in the garden as I can.
yeah,
But I'm also considering using making another garden spot on the opposite side of my yard, which will double my growing area.
hmm,
So if I do that, what my plan is to let my main garden rest for a season or two, and
yeah.
then at that point, every few years, I can rest the garden area.
Yeah, just keeping a good rotation of things, and and again, similar for me, I'm just heavy mulching a lot, throughout, some of my spaces I'm not using during the winter season, but that's pretty much the only time that I'm not got something growing or rotating through some of my spaces as well. And I suppose if I had a bigger, larger garden plots and all that sort of stuff, I'd probably look into something, you know, to do like cover cropping throughout our wintertime as well. But it's just, it just, other methods work better for my space.
Yes, and I think as long as you keep enough nutrients in your soil, you can get away with it.
Hmm.
Like I said, if I had more space, I would definitely save an area to not grow in. But right now, up until hopefully I can get it done next year, this but it's all a matter of time.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest difficulty of gardening. Sometimes you don't have enough time to do everything
That's
you
right.
want to do.
That is definitely. It's definitely one of my biggest challenges for sure is I've got myself, you know, I work full time. I've got other projects, all that sort of stuff. But, you know, my garden's a big part of what my main projects and all of that. So I try to do the best I can throughout the season, but time can always be a factor and really can always get in the way just as much, you know, as you were saying before, you know, life happens, you know, and a lot of that is that sense of taking away some of the time I'd like to be dedicating to some of the things I'm doing in the garden space. And the garden
Yes,
can suffer for it sometimes as well.
yes. I tend to take lunch breaks in my garden. I'll go out there and because I work from home, so I'll go out
Mhm.
there and pick something, plant something, pull weeds, and sometimes if you break it up like that, it's actually
Mhm.
easier and more production. One step, one step, one step. You have next thing you know, you have 10 steps done. So
Yeah, yeah. So what is it, you know, in your garden space, what is it that you really enjoy the most about your gardening experience?
for me, I love watching something grow from a little seed to a little seedling to a plant that's actually producing.
Yeah.
I won't compare I won't compare it to raising a child, but there are certain similarities because you watch them go through stages,
Yeah.
and hopefully in every stage you're proud of them.
Yes.
So when my seedlings come up, I was thrilled. Um, when I uppotted them, I was thrilled.
Yeah.
So those stages bring a certain amount of happiness to you, and once you get food out of it, it's some stuff doesn't make it into the house, like my first tomatoes, my
Mm,
first muscadines, my first
mm,
apple, okra, snow peas. The first
yeah.
ones, I just eat them straight.
Yeah.
And especially with okra, half of my okra does not make it into the house because I'll eat it raw. Some
All
people
right.
complain that okra is slimy, which it is when it's cooked, but
Yeah.
raw okra tastes fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had some of those, and again, too, it's one of my favorite thing is just grazing the garden pretty much, and that's probably how I consume most of my garden, bounty is through grazing and getting out there, just eating them as they go. I mean, I'll go out there and eat handfuls of like these tomatoes as I'm going through the garden space and checking on everything else. A lot of stuff is just perfect for that out of the garden.
Yes, yes.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, what what was it that inspired you? Now you've got gardening, you've been gardening on your whole life and growing all this sort of stuff, but at some point here, what inspired you to, break out a camera and start sharing your gardening experience, through YouTube and other, your other social media and all that?
Well, I thought it would be a fun, challenging experience since I
Hmm.
spend so much time in the garden anyway.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I thought about it and thought about it, and I saw Gardner Scott, and I saw someone that had more gray hair than I do. I was like, you know what? I can do this. I see so many people out there that have good channels. I'm thinking maybe one day I can be one of those really good channels.
Hmm.
And I think I do okay. Wish I had more time. I think that's the one thing that always kind of holds you back. It holds you back in gardening time because even though I'm out there a lot, I'm not
Yeah.
always out there with a camera or my phone, which I'm using currently.
Yeah.
And of course, I saw your channel. I discovered you, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and I
nice.
saw the people you're bringing on, and I was just great conversations. And I mentioned to you the other day that I go on my garden and I would turn you on and listen to you for 2 hours
Right.
because I don't have to actually look. I can just listen and hear what's going on. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's such a great compliment too, to what we're doing with the show and what we've been able to accomplish again too with again just having some fun gardening conversation on the weekends. Weekends a good time, especially early on. We're all usually out in our garden space doing things, and it's just kind of fun to be able to just like pop on something again. I think you brought a great point too when you were mentioning that too. Is it's just something you can turn on and just listen for a while with having to switch up or change different things and do that, so you can just kind of focus on what you're doing in your garden space, and then have something fun to listen to, and to also get to meet and learn about new different gardeners out there sharing their gardening experiences.
and that's really all it's about. It's about sharing. If I can share something I've done, if I can share something that I know, I come from a family with a lot of teachers.
Okay.
And it's not that I'm a teacher, but when you're out there showing what's going on in your garden, people are going to learn from it, hopefully. They might learn from your mistakes, they might learn from the good things you do. But,
Hmm.
I think some people feel that, if you're not a professional, that you shouldn't be quote unquote teaching. But I think regardless of what you're doing, if you're showing stuff, people are probably learning from you one way or another.
Yeah, yeah, and again too, that's one of the things I really love about, there's just so many great folks out there, and why we really wanted to, put together and do this show is to kind of share all the people who are, taking that time, as Tony was mentioning too. Everything takes so much time to kind of get out there and film it and to put it together to share with everybody else, but being able to do that and really kind of maybe help inspire others, through what you're doing in your garden to be able to grow better themselves too is just really awesome.
I love that comment about how everything takes 4 times as long when you film it.
Mhm.
And it's
Yep.
probably longer than that, really. Um,
Oh, sometimes.
just getting a camera angle up, getting your mic set, setting up so the sun isn't in your face or the shadow isn't all over your face. There's so many different things you have to do.
Hmm.
And then, of course, there's the editing. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if anybody knows, it's Tony for sure. He's one of the originals here on YouTube who started this whole YouTube gardening community up many, many years ago. So yeah, it could be a challenge times, but again, to the rewards of that and the rewards of the community and everything else are just one of the things that really make all of that time worth it, right?
yes, yes.
Hmm. Definitely. All right. Here, well, real quick here, let us know before we let you go here too. Do you got any fun or interesting new projects or anything like that coming up here on your channel, or what you got growing on here coming up?
Well, I am starting to learn how to graft trees.
Oh, yes.
I have, like I mentioned, I have peach, plum, pear, and persimmon, and
Mhm.
I'm experimenting on how to properly graft a tree because instead of adding more trees, I want to just add more varieties
Yeah.
so I don't have to use more space.
Yep. Such a
I
great strategy.
Yes, yes. So I'm hoping that works. I found a wild persimmon tree and grabbed a few branches from or a branch from it, and I'm hoping that I get 4 cuttings off of that actually or graftings that work. So
Yeah.
we'll see. So I'll
Yeah.
be working on that a lot. Um, Aside from that, I think the other I'm making another quail hutch because I'm trying to. I think I want to get about 50 quail
Okay.
and maybe even work on selling eggs or
All
yeah,
right.
probably hopefully working on selling eggs. So
Yeah.
those are my main projects aside from possibly digging up a third garden or fourth garden bed.
Got to have more space, right?
Yes, yes.
Once we get going, we can't stop. If we've got the space, we're going to take up everything what we can. I really like the experiment. It's one of the things I want to work on too this next season is grafting and multi-grafting different varieties onto the same tree. I did talk to someone from the California Rare Fruit Growers on our live show at the Fig Fest that we did. And this guy's telling me that he has a tree where he has grafted 175 different varieties. I don't know. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would even look like. But he says every little branch, everything that's sticking up and going in some different direction is some different variety of something. So I can't imagine that. But at least a handful of different varieties onto one tree it sounds to be really like a great way to grow some different types of fruit in your garden space, especially for those who don't have much space and you only really got room for a couple of different trees ultimately, right?
Oh, it's the perfect thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
If you only have space for 1 or 2 trees, if you can graft 3 or 4 different varieties on that tree, it's the best of both worlds.
For sure. Definitely. Well, right on, Marshall. I mean, really great to talk with you today and have you here on the show with us. It's just really great to learn about your garden and hear all about all of that. And definitely for everybody else who's watching out there right now too, definitely get into the link. I'm sure Jay's shared a link as well too in the chat, but get down below in the link in the description there and go check out Farmer Marshall Urban Gardener on YouTube. And as I say, always go check out one of his videos or posts or something and leave him a comment. Let him know you saw him here on the Let's Get Growing show. So right on, Marshall. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Let's get out there and get a little dirty. Get in your garden, get some dirt on you, grow something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great advice. Let's get out there. Let's grow something. And again, Marshall, thank you so much for being here. It was just really awesome to have you. Look forward to seeing you again on the show on a future date.
Well, thanks so much for having me in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You got it. Thanks, Marshall.
Hey gardeners, thanks for tuning in to our show today. We'll be right back at it here in just a moment. I just wanted to take a second here to highlight our regular videos and features here on the Urban Gardener channel. Our weekly garden journals, and our incredible featured visits.
All right. Thank you to Marshall for joining with us here today. Again, go check out his link down below in the description. And I just want to mention to you all real quick here too, is that each and every month on our third Sundays of the month coming up here real soon, we have our monthly gardening book club. You definitely want to come and check out on this show each and every month. Like I said, on the third Sunday of the month, we get to have these really amazing authors with us of all these different, just really awesome books. And this month's featured book selection is the Biochar Handbook by Kelpie Wilson. So Kelpie will be joining with us here next week on the show for a great discussion about biochar. So definitely come and check out next week's Sunday edition of the show for our monthly gardening book club. So right on, everybody. We've got a really great featured guest for you here today.
You never know when you might learn something, and that's what this is about for me. These are people that I admire. Please welcome my next guest.
So, all right, everybody, let's welcome to the show Philip Longo from Earth, Nails, and Tails. Right on, Philip. Thanks for joining with us here today.
Enoch, thanks for having me. I know we've been trying to work on get me on the show. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's always great to work out a date, that works out and
Yeah.
get you onto the show here. And again, really awesome to have you here. Been looking forward to this conversation. And real quick here, I'll just give you a minute here. Introduce yourself to folks. In case anybody hasn't met you before, and also everybody check out links down below in the description.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, hey, you said it already. My name is Philip Longo, and I am the owner slash creator at Earth Nails and Tails, which is really a homesteading page that I created about six years ago now. I've got my shirt on right here, my Earth Nails and Tails. So I started it like I've got gardening, I've got nails for my love of DIY, and we've got tails for our animals, specifically our chickens, and just wraps
Yeah.
everything up. And it really is everything working together in order to create the page that we've built and be able to share with everyone what we're doing, and really just inspire people to kind of what Marshall is saying, like get out there, get in the dirt, get your hands dirty, and grow something.
Yeah, yeah. It's just again is one of the things we love talking about here too is our gardening stories and that sort of stuff. But it is just really it's just kind of amazing to hear different perspectives on how gardening is such a big influence in our lives and what we do. And it's always one of our missions in a way too, as you were saying, is to kind of get people out and to get growing themselves so that they can experience that as well themselves.
Yeah, definitely. That's like literally my whole mission. Starting Earth Nails and Tails was kind of not a mistake, it was sort of like an accident. I had moved onto this property in 2018, and my family gardened, my parents gardened pretty much my whole life. And I lived in the city for 5 years, and then I lived in an apartment for almost 3 years after that. So I was like really itching to get started in my own space. And as soon as I got this space, the very first thing I did was put a garden in, and it, all evolved from there. But
Right.
yes,
That's
so I
something
started.
that so you did your part of your experience similar to what Marshall was saying too, is that you grew up gardening. This was something that was a part of your family experience, right?
Yeah, it was on both my sides of the family, on my mom and my dad's side. Everyone had a garden, so it's just something that was kind of, I didn't realize how impactful it would be for me at the time, like as I was growing up. But yeah,
Yeah.
it is something amazing. It really is.
Yeah, so it's like you said, it's one of those things that you're not thinking about too much. It's just a part of life. It's just what you know when you're growing up and everything. But then, as you were saying though, also is that you had this point where you're moving on, getting your life started and doing things, and it just isn't conducive with being able to have a garden space. So after a bit of time, you're like, again, like you said, you kind of get itching to get growing, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think when I bought this house, it's like gardening was becoming extremely popular on YouTube, and I've been watching YouTube for a long time. But I saw people doing it, and I was like, wow, I want to do this. Like, I want to transform a space. I want to be able to have this abundance in my backyard, and that's really what started
Mhm.
me going down like this process. But then I also really love to teach, and I teach a lot for my day job. So that's kind of how like one thing led into another. I was like, kind of like what Marshall was saying. He's like, yeah, I'm doing this anyway. Why don't I record what I'm doing and
Yeah.
share it with the world? So one, to inspire people, but also to show people what I'm doing and how I've become successful. So that way they can apply those strategies to their space, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I found that to be kind of a similar experience myself. Although I didn't really have the growing up with gardening, I found it later on in life. But then after, and I also too, when I first started gardening, again, YouTube became a real big thing at that time, and
Yeah.
so I immediately went to it. I discovered folks like Tony O'Neill, who's in the chat with us today, and other folks as well too. My good friend John Kohler and others growing and sharing their garden spaces. So I was learning and figuring out a lot of things to grow and make my garden successful through these folks doing what they were doing. And then eventually there was a point where I grow on a lot of alleyways and a lot of like public open spaces, so people are walking through all the time. And I kind of got encouraged by folks who were like, hey, you got a lot of cool stuff growing on around here, you should share this stuff. Or I
Yeah.
would get
Yeah.
that question, like, do you have a YouTube channel?
Mhm.
And then it was at that point in time, I was just like, you know what, maybe I should do that, because like you're saying, and Marshall was saying, I'm already out here doing all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's also kind of see, and one thing that I've realized relatively recently, because I do also do a lot of shorts too, and
Yeah.
I've kind of started utilizing it more as a journal. Like people truly want to know what you're doing and what your experience is. So I started treating it as like a journal. So I try to do things in real time and record and post things like as I'm actually doing it. So then it
Hmm.
also gives me the benefit of oh, hey, this thing worked really well. I don't remember exactly what I did, but I do have this video that I can go back to and reference. So
Yeah.
it winds up working out really well.
Yeah, you create your own season to season gardening journals as well too. I don't
Yeah.
know if I mean, again, I'm not as fancy on watching back on myself a lot of times and stuff, but there are some things that I have. I mean, like I have a fig tree that I have out there, and I didn't label it, but I know that on a video, back a few years ago,
Yeah.
that I did have, and said what that was, on there. So it gives me an opportunity to go back and look, and, to kind of go, okay, yeah, that's what the name of that one was.
Yeah. It turns out no one's perfect.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
things like that always happen. But again, too, it is kind of cool to have that kind of, to be able to, even for ourselves, to kind of look back on,
Mhm.
maybe even to be able to share with family down the road as well, too. Like, look at all
Yeah.
these things I used to do back in the day, and the different successes that we've had.
Yeah. Yeah. We've definitely upgraded from the Polaroids.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a completely different day when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So um, I was mentioning a couple of different channels. What were some of the your favorite channels early in the day when you were watching gardening before you got started going, that kind of inspired
Yeah.
you to grow?
I think one of my favorite ones, and this person was doing a lot of market farming in their backyard in California.
Okay.
Nature's Always Right, Stephen Cornett.
Okay.
I watched him and how obsessed he was with what he was doing, and it was
Hmm.
so cool. Someone that literally quit their job in, I believe it was tech, and started gardening in his backyard and just built these beautiful systems which allowed him to be so efficient and so productive in such a small space, and he was making a living off of it. So I was like, wow, like that's really impressive. So that's when I really started to absorb all this information. It's like that, if I do this, like that's how efficient, that's how effective that I want to be. I'm kind of competitive by nature, and I'm also an engineer. So seeing those
Okay.
things, the cogs were turning in my mind, and I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So he was a huge influence on me, and just the way that he used natural farming strategies as well to pretty much like minimize the inputs or the cost of the inputs that he was using. Because let's get real, gardens need an input of some sort. They're not natural plants, or at least for vegetable gardens, they need something.
Yeah.
And he was just figuring out really creative ways in order to do that and make as much as he could with his market garden. So it was very cool to see.
Yeah, that was literally too, hadn't discovered his channel, but there were several others that before I even got to doing anything YouTube or sharing things myself, that was kind of my other big idea, was I wanted to do shared space market gardening.
Yeah.
Christopher Stone up in Canada was doing that sort of stuff, and I thought that was just the coolest thing. And I was like, I got to get in on this.
Yeah, his channel was very interesting too, because he was kind of out there, but he showed you like his whole process of like everything that he was doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, and literally showed you everything step by step. So yeah, it's definitely valuable for sure.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Epic Gardening too was there in the beginning. He's obviously
Mhm.
has his own space now,
Yeah,
but still like a big influence on. Hey, this guy he can present and he can make videos really well, and he's able to articulate a topic. So it's kind of like
yeah,
taking the good things that you see and merging it all together to create something that's yours.
yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, he's one of those ones too that I remember again following him back when he was just had a small channel too, even,
Yeah. Yeah.
and getting to see again, also inspiring on that sort of level though too for those of us who
Right.
are creating is like, look what, like you said, look what you can do. You know, if you
Mhm.
present things in a certain way, look what's possible. And mind you, he's in
Yeah.
a realm that maybe I don't know, but you know, it's
Yeah.
super cool to be able to see someone in the gardening space to be able to accomplish like that, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very successful business owner for sure.
All right, let's see here. Let's grab a question or so. I know David always popping in some great questions for us. Let's see this one here. He's got on less than a quarter acre, you grow a ton. What layout saves the most space without hurting yield? That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, yeah. So just to give some perspective, like my parents grew up on a quarter acre, including their house, and they have a backyard garden that's only 8 garden beds. They're like 6 foot by 3 foot garden beds, and they grow a ton of stuff in there. Like you would not believe the amount of produce that they get out of this small space. So
Yeah.
you really don't need a huge space in order to be productive. You just
Mhm.
need to really create good soil and keep growing year after year, and that soil just becomes even more productive, even more abundant, and that's what really
Yeah.
gets you growing. So the best thing that you can do is start growing because it's only going to compound over time.
Yeah.
But in regards to like efficiency sake, I would try to companion plant as much as you possibly can, because like look in nature, things are growing together. You don't just see like pine tree after pine tree after pine tree or whatever. It's a bunch of different things growing together and that help each other thrive. You have things in the upper story and things in the lower story. You've got ground cover, so you should always
Mhm.
be thinking of growing your gardens that way. And those are usually like the most productive gardens. So I've
Yeah.
I've definitely shied away of at growing a single plant in a single bed. Specific things like I will do that just because it's more efficient, but I'll try to rotate those out. But for example,
Mhm.
like in a tomato bed, I'll grow tomatoes, basil, marigolds, onions, like all in the same bed just to cover, all those different layers. And I think
Yeah.
that's how you can efficiently use your space and get 4 crops in a single garden bed.
Yeah, that's definitely a big key, especially in smaller space gardening, is layering and then also again too some rotating and making sure that you're always utilizing your space because that's a
Hmm.
great way to make sure you're getting good yields, right? Always
Yeah.
make sure something's growing in that space.
Right.
And then also too, if something isn't as effective, isn't growing as well too, sometimes it's best to also just kind of pull it and get moving on to something else, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's another great reason why variety is important because I can't tell you the number of years like this year is going to be a cucumber year and none of them
Yeah.
grow, right? So
Yeah.
if you grow a variety of things, you're more likely going to be successful overall. Even if you lose something like a cucumber, your green beans might be growing amazing, or your tomatoes might be growing amazing. So you still have to take that as a win, right?
Mhm. That's right, that's right. And, again, and you mentioned something there too, I think is really so true as well too, 'cause I'll kind of, like, make a focus throughout a year, each season, like, "Okay, this is gonna be the crop or the things that I'm gonna work on and really, try to, make sure that I'm doing the best I can with." And, sometimes, again, no matter what we try to do, sometimes it's those ones even that I'm focused on that don't turn
Yeah.
out as well. And then these other things that I'm not end
Uh-huh.
up being these great things. And that was for me, I know Marshall was mentioning earlier that he didn't have a very good luck with his melons and cantaloupes and all that. But that was those ones, that was that surprise crop for me. I mean, I just planted them. I didn't expect much out of them. I was focused on doing these other things. And then as I turn around and look, there's all of these melons growing all over the place. And they ended up being really delicious.
Yeah, that's like some of the best things. It's like, "Oh, I planted that? When did I plant that? Oh, man, this is" yeah, that's
Right.
kinda fun. Yeah, so it keeps it exciting for sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see here. I think we got some more great questions from David here. Let's see here. Let's see. You teach Disney gardeners. What's the number one habit that gives the biggest payoff for folks short on time?
The number one habit, I would say. So just to give some perspective, like I am pretty busy. I have a lot of hobbies. I've got a family. I've got a full-time job. Make videos, whatever.
Mhm.
The list goes on. We're not going to go through all of it. But the thing is, like I just stop questioning what I have to do and just go out and do something. It doesn't matter what it is. But being active in the garden, even if it's for 5 minutes, go walk around, see what you could do. If it's setting up some sort of weeding schedule if you need to do that. If I just weed one garden bed a day, my garden beds will never have weeds ever. And as I'm weeding, I'm also harvesting and checking on my plants. So it's like just being intentional and actionable about going out there can save you a ton of time, because if you sit and let things progress without you being active, things are going to happen that you don't want to happen. Like weeds are going to get overgrown, plants are going to get overgrown, your vegetables could become overripe, and then you completely lose the plant. So even if you're not actually going out and doing something in that garden that day, just going out and observing the space can actually do a lot. Doing nothing can do a lot.
Yes, it's true. And then also another thing too is talking about what the amount of time that our garden can consume, is that
Yeah.
if we're not being intentional, like you say, if we're not scheduling some time, or at least getting out there and kind of getting an idea of what you need to be doing, and we let things go a little bit, then what ends up happening, right, is that now we're playing catch up. Or we're digging into time that we could be doing other things, because now it becomes imperative that we work on or do something with whatever is happening in our garden space that we've been kind of ignoring for a little while, right?
Right, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And if you think you're going to struggle with this too, like just start out with something small. There are so many amazing like inventions out there, like using a green stalk, or growing in some grow bags, or even a single raised bed. Like get really good at doing those simple things, the fundamentals, and then after you are happy and comfortable with that, that's when you can expand, because you've learned that the fundamentals and the basics that are so important, which some people just completely overlook.
Yeah. And like you said though too, is that really we want to encourage people to just get started, just get out, just get growing, do something. But that's probably one of the other big, like, number one piece of advice out there, is just kind of start small, start with a few different things. But that's what I've found though too, in interviewing all the different people that I've talked to in the garden space, is that it's one of the hardest things for a gardener to do, right?
It is.
So once we start growing, once we start getting that, that garden bug in us, right? It's just, I want to grow everything, right?
Yeah.
But it's really one of those things that will be more advantageous to us if we do kind of progressively get into all of these things, versus let's just grow everything this season, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it kind of depends on your personality too, and like what you're able to cope with.
Right.
Like if you're a person that needs instant gratification, like starting with a big garden can be really painful for your ego.
Right. Absolutely.
So
I completely
yeah,
agree with that, for sure.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, I started off with a garden that was made out of cinder blocks here,
mm,
and it was 4 foot by 8 foot garden beds that I had just filled with some bag soil, and I was like, yeah, I did it. This is it. Planted some stuff, and I think like the only thing I grew was radishes, which
right.
is like one of the easiest things. So it's like it was
And
not
fastest too,
successful.
right?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, but that was it. So it's like I have this giant space, and all I grew was some radishes when I planted everything underneath the sun, because I didn't really
Mhm.
know necessarily like what I was doing in this space yet. So it just
Yeah.
shows like, hey, I could have grown some radishes in a small pot, or I
Yeah.
could have been more successful just focusing my energy on a single tomato plant in a pot. So just things to think about and consider.
Yeah, and part of that learning process that we're allowed when, when we do jump in and get started in growing, is figuring those sort of things out. I look back too, again, going back to the idea of looking back on stuff. I'd hate to look back at some of those early gardens I was sharing, and early gardens I was actually growing I didn't share either, if I had the ability to, is to think about the stuff that I was doing, that that today I know better from. But it was
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
process, which was really awesome and really inspiring, though, too, is just to go through that process and learn and be able to look back and say, man, look how far I've come from where I
Mhm.
started.
Yeah, I would have loved to capture like there's some people that are doing that now, and it makes me so jealous. Like I wish I
Mhm.
was recording when literally
Yeah,
my garden was just grass. You know, I wish I would have captured those
right.
moments in video with a little bit more detail, because that's how you could show the true progression and transformation of everything. But hey, you're still doing your best to share those moments that you have.
Yeah, like for me, I share a lot about one of my first favorite things that I really got to learn in the garden space and figure out the learning curve. One of the biggest ones was growing garlic, right?
Mm.
And I wish I would have captured some of my first attempts at growing garlic, because to me, I look back on it as kind of being almost hilarious in a way too. After like, because I mean, I knew that I had to grow it from a clove. It was just one thing I knew, but I didn't do too much research or pay attention to any other videos or look it up or anything. And I took those cloves and I just stuck them right into the little 6-pack things. It stuck them right in there and started
Oh
growing
yeah,
them in the
the
spring.
cell
And then I would,
case. Yeah.
as soon as they started popping up, I'd stick them right out, transplant them out into the garden space and let them grow. I think I even had them like half out of, in the ground and out of the ground too, kind of like a root crop, a carrot or a
Yeah.
radish or something.
Mhm.
And it was just, it'd be hilarious to see some of those first attempts I was making at
Yeah.
doing things.
Yeah, that's funny.
But again, too, that it's learning that process, figuring that out. It was one of my biggest, I share with people too. I think it was one of my biggest senses of accomplishment in gardening and growing was figuring that out, not just through, from like I said, learning through videos and what other people are sharing with that, because I could have went directly and figured it out. But I went through my own kind of process of making mistakes and learning as I went and figuring out. When I got it all figured out and I grow some amazing garlic anymore, in those first couple of seasons when I was able to accomplish that, was just like, yes, look at this.
Yeah.
I did it. I finally did
Yeah.
it. It took me a couple of seasons to get this done,
Uh-huh.
but I finally did it. And so it's really good to be able to, again, it comes back to that idea of just get out and grow, right?
Yeah. I mean, that that's also a huge part of gardening, is just trying something and experimenting, and then you having the satisfaction of, hey, I learned this process myself. I figured this out myself, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you now have your own system of success, and it's like then you can what
Yep.
works, and then you can kind of go and look at someone else and be like, hey, what are they doing that's successful? But still, yeah, it's like literally or failing over and over again, and then being able to
Yeah.
succeed. You're like, yes, I did it. I can do this. And
Does
then
it,
that, yeah, yeah,
Does anything stand out as far as some of those early things, different things that you were growing, that you had a kind of a learning curve with yourself and really had a sense of accomplishment when you finally got it?
yeah. Well, garlic was actually one of those. I think I'm
Yeah,
pretty good at growing garlic now, but
yeah.
the thing that I struggled the most with here on this property is because we have very like dense clay soil, is
Hmm.
growing trees, like growing fruit trees and shrubs. And I really, really, really wanted to grow trees on my property. I've tried multiple times, and I remember posting my first video on growing fruit trees, where I had planted 5 brand new fruit trees on the right side of my property, the northern side of my property, and then literally months later they all died. I'm like, how can I be posting a video like this and giving people advice on how to do this when all of my trees are dead?
Right.
But
Yeah.
the things that I taught were correct,
Yeah.
but I realized that um, and everyone's going to experience this as well, that your property or wherever you're growing is going to have its own characteristics. So one thing that I had to learn and adapt to was actually planting my fruit trees above the soil level and mounding the soil with good soil on top of it, so that way the roots could breathe and not drown, and at least until my soil became fertile enough and had the right structure to be able to grow those fruit trees.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah,
And again, like you
that was a
said
big one
too,
for me.
yeah, sometimes again, like you're also saying, and I've felt this again over the last couple of seasons on a couple of different videos or projects I've done as well too, is that, yeah, I know that this is the way you're supposed to do it. And I'm trying my best and working that out myself. But even depending on a lot of other different factors, right? Things can probably not as succeed as well, and then you're left with kind of like, oh, okay, well, I know this was the right advice, but they didn't necessarily work out as well for me this season.
Yeah, and then it kind of gets you questioning again, like, what did I do wrong? What do I need to change? What other information can I give out that I have learned? Which is also really fun, because it's like you can make a video on the same topic year after year after year, and I guarantee you it's going to be a little bit different every single time.
So. Every single year. I used to do each year I would do container potatoes. I would use these large storage containers and grow out. Some years just amazing, just we'd spill them out and there'd just be tons of potatoes coming out of them. And then some years there's just this little handful that I've got, but you're showing it throughout the year. And again, one of the things with those sort of crops is that you don't know until you dig in there to find out what you have. So you can have these big, beautiful plants and they're just growing amazingly, and you're just so proud of them throughout the whole year. And I've got potato videos back in the day too, where that was exactly the case. Just these big, awesome plants. I'm showing them all throughout the season, and then we go to harvest them, and then it just comes out and it's like there's nothing. You're like, oh no,
what happened? Yeah.
Right on. Let's see here. Let's jump into another question here. David's asking, early on, you balanced in-ground beds, raised beds and in-ground beds. Which one ended up giving you the best yield to effort ratio?
Yeah. I mean, very simple answer. I definitely can go into more detail, but raised beds, are so little effort and you get amazing results. The benefit is that you can create the best soil that you can create, or mixture, growing medium, because you might not be using soil, like soil in and of itself, but you can just create the most ideal conditions for whatever you want to grow, plant them in it, and they're going to do amazing. Versus growing in the ground, it depends. Hey, if you have really great soil, you probably don't need raised beds. But for someone like me who is growing in clay, or if you have really sandy soil, it's just the vegetables are not conducive to growing in those conditions. And if you want to get growing fast and getting results very quickly, raised beds are definitely the way to go.
Yeah, especially like you said, for folks who just have terrible soil to begin with, or you're, heavy sandy, heavy clay, those sort of things can be really difficult for folks to grow in. And then, that's the best advice at that point, is to just get some raised beds, start mixing your own soil, and start getting some good results. Let's see here. Definitely. Getting back to potatoes, David was asking, after losing a few bags to rot, what's your best way now to time potato harvest so you avoid mushy losses but still get full-size tubers?
So for this, I would say there's two things that are really important. One is know the variety that you're growing and usually how long they take to mature. That's a very basic thing. But second is, as those potatoes are getting to maturity, you got to make sure you keep track of the weather and how much you're watering them. Because I would say, you probably know this as well, your potatoes kind of want like a drier period after those plants die back before you harvest them. You want that soil to dry out before you harvest them, because once those plants die back, the roots aren't growing anymore. They're not getting they're not drying out. The moisture is not being pulled away from them by the leaves. So you need to be very careful with how you're watering the soil at that point on until you harvest them.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. I think David's always got lots of great questions that he asks here. Let's pop up another one real quick.
Pulling back there too. I like the research that's going on here.
I know, for sure. He's definitely been watching what you've been putting out, for sure. Let's see here. He says, here we go. In a recent video, you said bare soil equals desert. What's your favorite quick mulch for busy folks who can't shred leaves or haul chips?
So I'll have to a follow-up question. Like, you can't haul chips yourself, or you can't get them to your property. Because that's a big difference. I love
Hmm.
I love this service called Chip Drop. I haven't used it in a little while, but I'll say why. So, but if you've never heard of it before and you need mulch, specifically
Hmm.
wood chip mulch, you can look up this service called Chip Drop, and they basically work with local arborists in your area, and they'll come and dump a truckload of wood chips on your property absolutely free, because it costs them money to go dispose of it. So it's
Yeah.
actually beneficial for them to just come to your property and dump it. And then plus they can go work another job immediately after, instead of having to go dump it somewhere. So I actually met a local arborist in my area who now literally comes and knocks on my door and says, "Hey, Phil, can I dump some wood chips in your driveway?"
Yes.
And yeah, such a valuable resource. So
Yeah. So
for
that's the
me,
other way too, is if you do got some local businesses, reach out to them
yes,
as well,
yes,
right?
yeah, like look for local arborists in your area, and I guarantee they will, no questions asked. Like, hey, next job you do, come dump this on my property.
Hmm.
Just be careful with what they're shredding. Just make sure they're only doing like
Yeah.
trees or shrubs or whatever, and they're
Ye-
not processing any like pressure treated wood or chemically treated wood, stuff like that. Try to keep
Right.
that out of your garden as much as you can. But yeah, wood chips are amazing how they can transform soil. It's incredible.
Yeah, that'll be something we'll be working on adding to our spaces as we're working in our front yard and doing some changes out there and everything. One of my big primaries is leaves, so I'll go and collect bags of leaves from around the
Yeah.
neighborhood. I got plenty that come down off of my trees, but I also go and grab extras from all the neighbors
Mhm.
who bag them up and everything, and then I'll mulch them down and then keep several bags for throughout the season, because they'll definitely they'll break down really quickly, and so I'm always trying to keep them topped off throughout the season, so it's great to have a bunch of extra as well too.
Yeah, leaves are amazing. So amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And big thing though too is making sure that you mulch them too, so that
Mhm.
you're not getting them to basically mat together. That's just something you do want to avoid, is like having them mat together, and that'll just cause some problems. But yeah, definitely mulch them down, and leaves are one of the best. And then again, like you said, wood chips, but mulching is definitely a great idea.
Yeah.
Serena
Yeah.
asks, with major temperature drop coming in a week from tomorrow, at least for her, high of 40, will topping tomato plants encourage faster ripening, or should I just remove all blooms to speed up ripening? Yeah, is there any methods
Yeah.
for helping ripening, or is we were also talking with Marshall earlier too, is to get out there and grab them as they're starting to blush and get them off the plants, as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say so. It depends. I mean, it looks like a high of 40, so not too bad. I think your tomatoes
Yeah.
will probably be okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think any new blooms are probably going to do anything, and it is just putting energy into a fruit that's not going to mature. So yeah, I think removing the blooms would be an excellent way to keep the energy focused on your existing tomatoes. And then in regards to topping, I think it depends on the tomato plant. Like if you have a
Yeah.
determinate tomato, they're probably completely fine.
Hmm.
But if you have an indeterminate variety, which is going to want to keep growing, topping can really help to focus the energy on the existing fruit and get them ripening before you do see a frost.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, right on. So how did things grow this year? Did everything kind of turn out the way you were hoping this year, or is there some
Yeah.
problems? Did things not turn out so well? How did it go this year?
Yeah, I don't think there is a year where everything turns out the way I want it to.
Right, for
But
sure.
that honestly just keeps me more motivated to try more or like harder next year. But this year for me, we had a good year. We had a pretty successful year. Our spring garden, because I can pretty much grow year round here. The one thing I forgot to say in my introduction is that I'm in southeastern Virginia, so I'm kind of on the border of 7B and 8A. So we have a really long growing season, and
Mm,
our winters can get cold, but not really cold. Like our ground never freezes. So we can pretty much grow something all year. And as long as I'm utilizing like row covers, and I do have a small-ish greenhouse. It's an 8x10, so some people might think that's big, but a greenhouse can fill up very quickly with the things that you could put in there. So I do have some ways that I can extend my season for a really long time. But yeah, our spring into summer garden was amazing. We grew, you know, the cabbages, the cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, beets, all of those great things. But I'd have to say the most successful thing that we grew this year was our tomatoes. We
Good.
dedicated 2 garden beds just to Roma tomatoes, and we were able to can like over 30 jars of tomato sauce, which is awesome. And for the first time ever, I did 2 rounds of tomatoes in the exact same garden bed. So we planted them early enough in the year where they were able to grow and mature. And then we ripped those ones out and put new tomato plants in. And we've got some green tomatoes out there right now that we're hoping to harvest before our first frost comes. So it's really exciting. We'll probably get a whole year's worth of tomato sauce out of just 2 garden beds this year.
Oh, right on, right on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
tomatoes are definitely one of those go-to and favorite things, and especially if they're working out successfully like they are in your garden and all that. Are there any other like favorite crops that you have, things that you just have to grow each and every season?
Yeah, every season I would have to say carrots.
Yeah.
My kids love the carrots. They love to pick them out in the garden. And
Yeah.
especially right now, this is a great time to grow carrots. Those sweet
Mhm.
fall carrots are just so good. So
Yeah.
good. And it's even more fun going out there in like the middle of December and picking a
Mhm.
carrot.
Yeah.
Nothing else is growing, and you just pull out this beautiful bright orange carrot out of the ground and just get some nutrition that your body is craving at that time of the year. So
Yeah,
we
it's so
love
sweet, so
love our
good when it's
carrots.
cold like that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get back into getting my carrots going again. We were talking about those earlier. Tony, who's in the chat, was sharing with us his carrot experiments he's been doing and growing just some amazing things with this new method he's got. And I got to trying that, get back on my carrot growing for sure.
I'll have to look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, just I love carrots. They're one of my favorites as well too.
Yeah.
If I can get some successes with them for sure.
Hmm. Yeah. I actually put out a video a little bit earlier this year, because a lot of people do struggle with growing carrots, like just getting them to grow. And one of the
Mhm.
best things that I have found to actually get them growing is to use a straw mulch as soon as you plant. It doesn't have to be a very thick layer, but
Yeah.
that long germination time is usually where people struggle. But plant them a
Mhm.
little bit earlier than you would think, because that warm soil, carrots really like it. It helps them to
Yeah.
germinate faster. So once they once they germinate and they start growing, that's going to help you be a lot more successful. That's the hardest part for most people. So just that tiny
Yeah.
layer of mulch is all you need, and
Yeah.
they get going.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I've also done like I've seen methods where, and I've tried myself, which work is, again, it's about kind of keeping that top layer of soil and keeping it moist to allow for them to
Mhm.
be able to germinate, right?
Right,
So
right.
seeing, either utilizing cardboard or something else as well
Mhm.
too, that you can just, keep them, keep that moisture, uh, um, uh, at the soil level or the top level there too, and then remove it as soon as you start seeing them popping up and everything, and
Right.
then at
Yeah.
that point they're off and going, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's another great strategy. Obviously, just requires a little bit more attention than using a mulch, because they can't grow through that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So besides carrots, what are some other really great essential fall crops as we're into fall now?
yeah. Well, fall, I mean, you mentioned it before. Garlic is probably one of my favorite things to grow,
Hmm.
because you can grow it through the winter,
Yeah.
and you should grow it through the winter. That's when we're planting
Yeah.
them in the fall to harvest in the summer. I also really love to grow like pretty much any type of brassica this year. Our broccolis, our cauliflowers, onions too. Fall onions are really good if you got the space for them, because obviously they're going to
Mhm.
be growing over into the winter. And
Yeah.
then all of my leafy greens, because we just cannot grow leafy greens here in the summertime. It's just too hot. Like we're in
Yeah.
the consistent 95 plus with like 90% humidity. It is just so hot.
Yeah.
And the tricky thing about here is that it was 85 degrees until a few days ago. So
Yes.
lettuce isn't going to love that either. So I kind of have to really push things until the very edge of
Mm-hmm.
when I'm expecting my frost to start growing some greens. But tasting them again in the fall it's so good, just so good. Those fresh greens.
Yeah, I was just mentioning that earlier too, as well. At the beginning of the show, that is my biggest issue, is that where I live, there isn't much of a transition between our seasons. This is from spring into summer, and also summer into fall. It's a switch,
Yeah.
and the summers are, and it goes from being intense heat or going into intense heat from the cool weather, just all of a sudden to the opposite happening, just hot weather, and then bam, it's cool
Right.
now and ready to grow. And you got to be able to time it out right, or in some sense, like you said, it can get kind of tricky, especially for getting some of the greens started, especially spinach. I don't want to get spinach started too early, because those things will bolt straight from seedlings as soon as
Yeah.
they're popping up. It's amazing how intolerant to heat they are, but it's one of my favorite things to grow, and I love spinach throughout the cool season.
Yeah, it is a really good one, and it is true. Like, you got to kind of know which plants are more tolerant than others to the conditions. And I don't know about you, but I feel like it's become like the lines have become a little bit more harsh to some
Mm-hmm.
degree.
Mm-hmm.
This year was actually pretty temperate across the board, but it was super dry this summer. But I think the previous year it was just like it was hard winter, summer, winter,
Yeah.
and it was just
Yeah.
like no leeway there at all.
Yeah, it really is. It doesn't feel like you get much of any of those shoulder seasons, the spring and fall, and then, like I said, it gets so hot here, stays consistently hot, and it's more so in these recent years than in years past. There was just so many things I could grow so easily years ago that are just a problem nowadays.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the solution to that is either. It's obviously going to be different for everyone. So
Yeah. The only thing I've really, and been working better on is just finding varieties that are more tolerant within things like, with tomatoes, again, finding heat tolerant varieties of tomatoes. They're going to be able to withstand that and produce fruit during that season versus some of these other varieties that will just won't handle it at all.
right. Yeah, that's a great advice, honestly.
It's really one of the only ones I can figure out right now, because again,
Yeah.
it's in our seasons for a long time when I was growing here was just, again, there would be seasons, and it wouldn't be as hot, and so we could grow successfully a lot of stuff. And now with everything, like you said, it just flips like a switch, gets intensely hot. There's so many things that are just intolerant to that and won't do that and take it. And for a while I just kept trying the same things I was growing before, and kept trying and not having that success. And then it's like, okay, well, now I got to look into other strategies and some things too, shade cloth and doing these sort of things in order to kind of help from the intensity of the sun and stuff. I've found works with some things but doesn't work with other things, and really ultimately, the best one is finding those varieties. And there's a lot of different seed companies out there that's got lots of really good different varieties that can tolerate heat better.
Yeah. Looking and doing the research on kind of what you expect or what your goals are, and just understanding those basics about your area can really make a huge difference to your success. Don't just go to the Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever and pick up some average seed packets. Like, take a little bit of time and say, hey, this is the climate that I have. This is what I want to grow. One, can I do it? Be honest with yourself. And then two, look for the things that you can get.
Yeah, definitely. And that it goes back to kind of what we were saying though too, is that we get started with growing and we get into it and we catch the bug. I want a garden. So now it's like, whatever I see, I'm going to grab this seed packet. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grow this. I'm going to do all that sort of stuff. And again, fun and some learning experience for sure. I don't necessarily say that it's a bad thing, really, ultimately, if you're willing to take on, let's not say failures, but things that aren't as successful, and learn from that process. But it's always best if you're really, your intention really is to produce, and you want
Right.
to have things that you're pulling out of your garden later in the season, definitely take the time to be looking into what would be best for growing and grow the things that you really enjoy, right?
Yes, that's really good too. Grow the things that you're actually going to eat. If you're doing it for production, if you're doing it for fun. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I just want to have and I want to produce for sure, and I'm really more intentional with those things. And then there's just a lot of things that are for fun too,
Yeah.
and I just put them in the garden anyways, just because they are
Mhm.
fun. Like I always
Yeah.
mention
Yeah.
eggplants. I'm not a big eggplant fan, but I love those plants. I love the fruits. They're really
Yeah.
cool. And I have friends who really enjoy them too as well. So, I
Mhm.
mean, they're always in my garden each year. I'm trying different ones and growing them and everything because it's a fun thing to grow.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Yeah.
not really worried about what ends up happening with them either.
Mhm. And the funny thing is, those are probably some of the most productive things you grow.
They are too. It really is. That's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Again, because that thing again too as well. It's like we could put our intentions in certain areas, and the things that we're not working on or not paying attention to could kind of
Mhm.
be better crops than. And it's
Yeah.
always those ones that I'm not really looking to harvest or utilize myself.
Yeah. It's funny. That's good though. That's good. I think that's important to just grow some things for fun, to experiment or to give away. That's great. Like
Yeah.
giving is one of the best things that you could do. So
Yeah, exactly. And especially with like the eggplants, I've got friends who really enjoy them, so I grow them basically for them so that I can have fun, have them in my garden, in my garden space, and enjoy them while throughout the season while they're growing. I got some really cool different varieties this year, but and so I'm always giving them these fun, cool, different, strange looking ones and everything that they can play around with too.
what's like the most fun one that you grew this year?
It's a really cool one. I think it really, and I will not be able to come up with the name for sure. It's got a really long, really fancy name, but they almost look like tomatoes,
Hmm.
like a little orange round ball eggplants. And those ones are probably my favorite this year that we grew. And then I grew a different variety in Tuscan, I think, or something, but they're a cool like white one that has like these purple stripes.
Oh
Really,
yeah. Nice.
yeah. So instead of like the big, which I always grow the big fat purple beauty,
Purple ones. Yeah.
big fat ones and everything too. I always grow those because those are great mainstays for anyone who really enjoys them. But
Mhm.
those other white and purple ones are really great. And then these little round, they almost look like like I said, like a tomato or a persimmon or something like that. Just really great.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
I'll
I'm
have to
really
look that up.
excited.
And
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
really
more
excited
information.
about seeing what they come up with them and if they really enjoy them or not too. So
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, definitely. So all right, here, let's talk about something else too. Again, I'm sure everybody's been noticing throughout this whole conversation. You must be like right next to your chicken coop,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So we're
Well,
hearing them
I
crawling
actually
up.
do have our door open because it's beautiful out right now. It's in the
Oh,
70s, which is rare for us.
oh, nice.
But yeah, yeah, we actually have a new rooster. He just found his voice like yesterday.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's really
um,
found it, hasn't he?
so yeah, he has. Yeah, he's doing good. But yeah, we do have some chickens as well, and he's still pretty young, so he's able to jump out of our chicken run area and kind of wander around. But we have a because I am like an urban gardener, urban homesteader, and we
Yeah.
have an easement in the back of our property, and it's pretty big, and I'm not supposed to build or grow anything back there.
Mm-hmm.
But our property is probably 120 feet wide, so they have a
Okay.
huge area back there that's just dedicated to them, and it's great. It allows us to have a lot of chickens. People don't get bothered by it. Give our neighbors some eggs sometimes, but we love having the chickens here.
Yeah. So, what brought about? I mean, again, too, you got the space and all of that too. But what got you started with the chickens?
Yeah, I think it was I guess like kind of something different. We
Yeah.
had some experience of, like being around chickens growing up, but we wanted the fresh eggs, and
Yes.
it was actually more worth it back then, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But even with, like the egg prices soaring this year, it's like wow, we're actually really happy that we have them. But yeah, it was just I'm all about creating a more self-sufficient and sustainable life, and eat and providing myself and my family with things that are healthy and nutritious. And like fresh eggs are so good and so nutritious. They're just so good for you, and you can really taste and even see the difference between a free ranging chicken, even if they're just in your backyard, to something that you can get from the grocery
Yeah.
store. And so yeah, it's like we have the chickens for their eggs. We don't process our chickens or anything like that. We really love our chickens. And they're just, for egg laying chickens are not really used for meat, so we just use them to get the eggs. But we also compost all of their droppings and everything and create our own compost for the vegetable garden, and it's some amazing stuff, I'll tell you. Like chicken manure, if you're able to compost it correctly before you put it in the garden, it's probably one of the best inputs that you can put into your garden.
Yeah, that's my like primary number one motivator is I want to get building a chicken coop for our backspace for this next season and all of that. But I want all of that just really great compost and that extra, fertilizer for my garden and all of that too. Kind of trying to create a really great regenerative garden system out of our urban spaces. And chickens are a great addition to be able to accomplish that. And then for me, the eggs are the bonus.
Yeah.
Right, you get the eggs.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, no, I mean they really can do so much, and they can also help to stabilize areas as well. They're foragers, so they're really good at digging and scratching and kind of moving that soil around. So you put them in an area that is filled with weeds or something like that, and it'll be gone within a few days. So they're really good at that too.
Yeah. So you say you let them free range and all of that. Do you have issues with them in your garden spaces, or is that segregated or away from where they're at, or?
Yeah, well, our main vegetable garden is completely closed in, so we do prevent them from getting in there most of the time. The newer ones are pretty flighty. We've got 7 new chickens this year, so some of them have made it in, but it usually does a pretty good job. Probably won't have to worry about it next year. But I do have to really be careful with them free ranging, because I do have more like natural areas of my property as well, where I have my trees and my shrubs. And I am trying to do my best to create some fruit tree and fruit guilds. And every time it seems that whenever I plant something new, they're right there with me, scratching it up right away. So it's like, it can get really frustrating sometimes. So yeah, we do keep them in the back quite a bit, but we do let them out like at least a few times a week. And they're allowed to dig through the space. As much as I hate it sometimes, it's also really fun to see them do their thing.
Yeah. You got a little give and take when it comes down to it, right?
Exactly.
How urban is your space here? Because I know, again, Rob's mentioning here as well too, hens aren't so bad for people, but hearing the morning roosters, could be a little loud and all of that too. Is that something you haven't? For me, we're just not even allowed to have roosters at all, in my urban place, but we can have hens. Is that an issue you deal with at all, or?
Yeah, luckily my neighbors have been great, and I haven't really had an issue with them. We're not supposed to have roosters either. But we kind of break the mold on that, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, our neighbor, I have 4 neighbors that surround me, so we're all pretty close together. Like I could see the 2 neighbors on my right and my left, and one of my neighbors had chickens before us, so I was like, okay, cool. That's good to know, at least that like they have been living here. They've had chickens for a while, and we got chickens after them. But it hasn't really been a problem, and you'd be surprised how good of a bribe a fresh dozen eggs can be too.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, but
here's some eggs.
But you'd be surprised like how successful you could be raising chickens in the small space too, because you can get again different breeds that are smaller or more quiet, more docile, not as flighty, where they're not jumping into your neighbors' yards. But like the hens are so quiet, like you can hear them sing their song when they're laying, but other than that, they're pretty quiet and a lot of my neighbors have actually said like, "Oh, we hear your rooster." We actually like love hearing that every now and then. It's
Right.
like
Yeah, because
it's
then
kind of like
again, it gives people a
reconnecting.
country feeling, right? If
Yeah,
you're living in
yeah,
the city. So
right.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I can't wait to get started with them and have my own chickens. Kevin was asking here, at what stage of your thermal compost do you add the chicken manure?
It Whenever I make, so I personally love to make hot compost. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one who is saving all of the materials that I need until I have enough to in order to make a compost pile. So usually for me, the hardest thing to get is the brown material. So the leaves and the straw and the etc. It takes me a while to save up enough in order to make a good compost pile. It usually starts in the fall and then takes me all year in order to save up. But I will basically clean out my chicken coop about once a year because I use it's called the deep litter method. So
Yeah.
basically you just slowly pile on material and it covers the chicken droppings. So it's creating a better environment for them inside of their chicken coop. So the chicken manure is like already starting to break down inside. And then as soon as I put it in my compost pile, I'm incorporating everything together. So it's literally the first thing that I add into my compost pile. I want to try to create the biggest pile that I possibly can, get it hot and cooking, and get it breaking down quickly.
Right on. Excellent. So, again, I was similar question too here that I was asking earlier. I love to hear about is what was it throughout all this gardening and growing process and all of that that really inspired you to get out and start sharing and creating Earth Nails and Tails?
Yeah. I would say what inspired me was that I was looking a lot or like just looking for things in general to start gardening and being successful quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like if I'm gonna take the time and the effort to start growing a garden, I want to see the fruits of my labor. Especially after that first year of failure, it became even more important to me. So I was searching and searching, and there was a lot of good information out there, but it seemed to be like broadcast across, the internet or like in various books. And I
Yeah.
can't tell you the number of books that I have read in order to figure everything that I've figured out, um, or to learn everything that I've learned. So I was like, hey, like I see this person doing this, I see this person doing that. I like to teach, I like to help people. So it's like, why don't I just start doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was about a year and a half after I started gardening here and actually starting to be successful. I was like, yeah, I'm going to start. I'm going to start recording what I do and sharing it with people. The journey that I'm going on.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Really glad to too, man. I really love your channel and your content and all of that. What do you got coming up as we're finishing up here today? What are some projects or things that you've got coming up here on your channel?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're supposed to have this storm rolling through here tomorrow, so I'm actually
Ooh,
probably going to go right back out into the garden after
yeah,
this and fill some spaces, some empty spaces that I've got because we're going to get a ton of rain. So I'll probably just broadcast some seeds for some greens and some carrots,
yes,
some more of those fall veggies, and then I would say after that we're kind of just hanging out until the middle of November timeframe for when we plant our garlic. But
yeah,
definitely going to be planning some some DIY projects to do in the upcoming months and into the winter. That's the time where I like to, work on those projects because I'm not gardening and I have the time to think about it and plan. One thing that I've wanted to do for a couple of years now was to make this like boardwalk pathway through this area of my garden.
mm,
One, because I enjoy woodworking and I think it's going to be a fun
yeah.
project for me, but also
Hence the
to help,
nails in that, right?
yeah, the nails and the earth nails and tails, and then help to just like better define the spaces that I have. It's
Hmm.
just adding a simple border, or if it's like a pathway or a border, or just throwing some rocks somewhere can really help to like space some things out and define other spaces. So I really like to
Yeah,
incorporate those things as much as I can into my garden. Like I've like your background, for example, is hey,
right.
you've got your shelves and your plants and your screen. Just having that dynamic feel in the garden makes it feel more
Mhm.
alive, in my opinion.
Yeah, oh, I completely agree too. I like really cool design spaces, but functional as well too, right? But also,
Yes.
I want it to
Yeah.
look cool and nice, or at least
Yeah.
in my own vision, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's another way to be creative in the garden, especially when you can't grow anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, right on, man. This has just been wonderful again, too. Where does the time go? Boy, oh boy,
Yeah.
we just got started talking here.
It's always good. Like like gardening podcast, it's amazing to see how much you can learn when you talk to different people or the questions that people ask. It's always a fantastic time, and when you're talking about what you love, it's and sharing what you love.
It's
makes
really
the time
become my
go by so
favorite
quick.
thing, though, too, is doing these live streams and all of that, and really kind of stumbled into it through the other things that I was doing and sharing throughout my channel over the years. And once I got this figured out, it's one of my favorite things. I look forward to these weekends every single week because one of the things for me and this channel and all of that is to be able to share the community with everybody, and to introduce people to maybe folks that they haven't met before, seen some of the content and all of that as well, and to be able to share this community with everybody. And it's folks like yourself who are willing to come and spend your time with us here and to share with us what you have growing on that just makes this show so special. So I mean, I just really appreciate you taking your time to be here this weekend.
Yeah, thanks so much. And it's obvious to everyone, but like, it takes a good host in order to make a good show. So thanks for what you're doing as well. It really is important.
Oh, well, I appreciate the compliment there for sure. And again, everybody, if you haven't checked out Philip and his channel, Earth, Nails, and Tales, we got a link right down below for you in the description. Go and check that out. Go see one of his videos. Go check out one of his posts. Go let him know that you saw him here on the Let's Get Growing show. And yeah, like I said, it's a great way to support both of us and what we're doing, but especially folks like Philip who are taking their time to be here with us this weekend. So thanks again, Philip. It's just really been an awesome conversation, and I really look forward to another day where we can chat about more things, because there's just probably a ton of things we weren't able to get to today. Because again, like I said, we just conversations for people who have such similar interests like us in gardening, especially, can just flow.
Yeah, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. Thanks again so much. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thanks again. All right, everybody. Again, too, what did I tell you? I told you we have a great show for you here today. Some really awesome gardeners here with us. And like I said, to definitely go and check out the links down below. Go check out Marshall over at Farmer Marshall Urban Gardener, and Philip Longo over at Earth, Nails, and Tales. Links down below. Go and show them some support. Go leave some comments and check out some of their videos as well, too. So right on, everybody. Like I said, really great show here. We got another great show coming up for you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we got our good friend Gardener Scott back with us again. We missed him last month. He's here with us every second Sunday of the month to answer all of your gardening questions. So come and check us out tomorrow for our Ask Gardener Scott show. And yeah, lots and lots of great things to talk about. Can't wait to catch up with Scott for sure. And then this next week, actually yesterday, something came up, and I've had to kind of move and reschedule our guests that we had planned for next Saturday's show. So I've got a shortened time period where we're still going to try to show up. We're going to come hang out next Saturday, and we'll just basically do about an hour show. And I think what we'll do is we'll have our good friend Jay, our facilitator, join in with us, and maybe we'll get our good friend David in with us as well too from Bowtie Life, and go over a little bit about what's coming up at the end of the month, as we are going to be having our yearly Halloween Hangout live stream. This will be our 5th annual Halloween Hangout live stream, where we get to watch the original 1960s classic Little Shop of Horrors. And as I've mentioned before too, this is kind of how we got all of our community shows started, where we invited all of you, the guests, to be our or the viewers to be our guests on the show. We did that last year for our Halloween Hangout. It was so much fun that we started a whole new type of show throughout this year, based on that for our community shows. But we'll be doing that again, but we're going to add a little bit extra fun to it this year. Is what we'll do is we'll have a fun Halloween costume contest. I don't know how exactly we'll do all of that, but we'll have Jay and maybe David with us again for our hour next Saturday, and we'll talk about what we'll do to put together this fun Halloween costume contest for our show. And then also, too, I mentioned that after we have our fun hangout after the movie and all of that, we'll play a theatrical version as well, too, for everyone who wants to continue to hang out into the evening. Theatrical version of Little Shop of Horrors, one of my favorite plays. I've seen it many different times by many different production companies, and this one that we show is just a really fun one as well too. So you won't want to miss out on our yearly, our 5th annual special Halloween hangout coming up this Halloween. And then like I mentioned earlier in the show as well too, it's monthly gardening book club time this next Sunday, 3rd Sunday of the month. It's our Halloween, or not, our monthly book club. And this month we're featuring the Biochar Handbook by Kelpie Wilson. Kelpie will be joining with us next Sunday with our co-host, Mr. MBC, to talk all about this just really great book and learn all about biochar. So definitely don't miss out on that show coming up next Sunday as well. So again, thank you all so much for being here today. It's just been really awesome to hang out with all of you. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you can, before we head out here, definitely click that like button, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. The bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams, as well as sharing with all of your friends. Let all your garden friends know out there about our show, the Let's Get Growing show, here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. for all of you folks joining with us over in the UK. And again, thanks, Tony, for being here today. It's always great to see you in the chat. And definitely follow all those links down below in the description. And especially too, if you want to get some of these tomato seeds, I'm going to be harvesting seeds now over the next week or two. If you want to get some of our special variety, the Prax cherry tomato, this was a variety that was developed by another one of the OG gardeners out there who originally started gardening on YouTube. That's Ray Browning over at Praxis 55712. He's retired now, but I'm continuing his legacy with these just really great tomatoes that he developed and sent to me many, many years ago. And if you want to get some of these seeds, definitely come or send an email to the Urban Gardener at mail.com. That's mail.com, not gmail.com, but mail.com. You can send me an email and ask for some free seeds, and I'll let you know how you can get a hold of some of these seeds so that you can grow these just wonderful tomatoes in your garden. And mind you, again, we talked about temperatures and how I have issues with growing different types of tomatoes. These will grow in any temperature, in any zone, anywhere. They're just so awesome, very delicious. So definitely send me an email so that you can get a hold of some of these seeds yourself. But everybody, it's just been really wonderful. Again, like I said, I look forward to this every single weekend to get together and hang out with all of you and share these great gardening conversations. And look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow for the Sunday edition of the show. So I look forward to it. I hope that you do too as well. And I'll see all of you then.
take the run. See you on the flippy flops.